first thing to know when restoring a car, besides the fact that it will drain you of pretty much all of your cash, is that nothing is ever really done. Remember that throttle linkage we checked out and weren't super thrilled with how it was working? Case in point. The beauty of working on cars, and probably one of the most rewarding things, is the community that you find when you are head deep into it. So with some help from some people that, let's be honest, frankly are smarter than me. Oh yeah, the linkage. I'm pretty sure it's not hooked up correctly. It works, but working is far different from performing, and performing optimally.
There we go. So now, let's see if we can get this going from working to performing. Setup right now is there is the help throttle spring, or help return throttle spring as it's listed on some parts stores. And when the throttle is pressed, it's lifted up like so, and it will pull it back into position. And then there's this spring that's also pulling it back as well. So that's what it's doing. The chances of it being set up incorrectly are very likely. So I'm gonna check some things, see if there's any little bolts that can be tightened. If you are an expert and you see something that is not correct, please tell me so that we can get it correct. My air filter was bolted into the top of the carburetor, which is, hey, what do you know? It's slightly loose, so there is another thing that's a little problem. Let's tighten this down. Make sure it's not doing anything it's not supposed to. That's another part, is it shakes a bit, so the engine is either not balanced or it's not tightened. This is definitely loose, so that's an issue to deal with. Another thing the 5/8 wrench is useful for when not in use for mechanics work is a paperweight. You know, I think there is a huge reason there's a little moisture in there. That might be what this, yep, what do you know? It's not tightened all the way, so there's a little bit of leaking from the carburetor, which is definitely not helping in performance. Tighten this guy down. Oh, that's much better. For this project, we're definitely going to need tools and most likely some parts. Good thing is I know where you can get those. At our Advanced Auto Parts affiliate store, they've got all sorts of things, and I happened to find a few throttle assembly parts on the store that would work for this engine. One is like what we have, a throttle helper, or help throttle return spring. That's what this is. They come in packs, so hey, you can choose which one you want. Also the throttle cable bracket, and also there is Holley carburetor, carburetor ball. I'm just gonna pull my list out. Help throttle return spring, throttle cable bracket, and Holley carburetor throttle ball assortment. Say that 10 times fast. All sorts of little throttle ball assortments so that you can link things up so that they pivot and turn properly. And those are all on the Advanced Auto Parts affiliate store, and many other things. So check those out. Link in the description below or on the bottom of the screen. if you've had the Ford Falcon book from Classic Inlines to help in hopping up your engine, they've got a little section in there in the back, a how-to fix on how to get your throttle linkage and your carburetor adjustment working properly. Go one more time. Oops. All right, go again. All the way down? Okay. We're trying to get these so that they're flush like that. At least it's clean in there. I'm not getting full throttle. So that's something. It means it's only going partly fast. I just have to figure out which one of these adjusts the tension. I think it's this one. I just have to get to it somehow. There's a screw that is right behind here. I think that's the one that's going to adjust my throttle. If I can get the screw in there or something. Okay, press it down. Okay, lid off. I think I turned it the wrong way. Press it down. No, I definitely turned it the wrong way. I'm sure with the proper tools I could make this work. Huh. How do I get that? Oh dear. It's back to where it was. This is tough. There's something that's keeping this from fully engaging. So it looks like what we're going to have to figure out is this right here. It's not giving enough to this little lever to fully engage the throttle, which would be up to there. So let's give it a go. It actually sounded way better, but as you can see, that's back to the down up. There it is. That's what the problem was, is it's getting locked in this position and I have to pop it up. What happens if we... No, I don't think that's it. Before I start breaking things. When we press the throttle down, it's supposed to go like this, and then this is supposed to completely open up like that, at least according to what I was reading, if I read it correctly. So it looks like we have more play to get that to open up all the way. Right now, I can't seem to get the throttle to be pushed into position, so it's either springs are in need of replacing or there's something that's not quite there. So that's something that should give me a little bit more horsepower and make it run more efficiently. context here from last time. I explained the washers on there. The truth be told is that really is a Band-Aid fix. The reason it is in there is I was rushing to get this car running and drivable for my wedding a few years ago, because really, wouldn't it be cool if you could drive off in your classic Mustang, even if it was a clunker? So this was a quick fix to try and get the throttle to not totally do the issues we were talking about earlier. And there's a bracket here that connects the throttle rod that comes from the pedal up to the actual carburetor throttle, and whenever we'd press it, the bracket was bending. And then on top of that, the firewall here didn't totally have full support. I think it was more of the bracket, if I'm correct. So the idea was we'd place washers on the bracket, and the washers actually acted as the bracket more than the bracket itself. So that's what that was, an FYI. So you know why it's there. This is not the ideal way of setting up your throttle, obviously, but it was a Band-Aid fix that is still holding on. At least it wasn't duct tape, right? I don't recommend this, but when you're on a time crunch and you have washers, sometimes that's faster. Cheaper? I don't know if it's cheaper. It's cheap enough. So there you have it.
Nope. I missed on all accounts.
So, while I tightened down the bolts on the car in an attempt to get rid of the rattle and idling, let me recap a bit about what is the desired result of the proper adjustments on the carburetor. According to the Ford Falcon 6-cylinder performance handbook, the butterfly valve on the carburetor should be completely open and vertical when the pedal is depressed. That is currently my issue, apart from needing it set up properly in the first place. Oh, another note is I forgot to check to make sure that the accelerator pump is functioning. Add it to the list.
Maybe this will get the rattle fixed. The reason this is not sitting up higher is the bracket that we need to fix. I believe that's got a lot to do with it. So there we go. I think it's good enough to be able to get home, and I'm gonna go fill up with gas, get home, and I think we'll be good. So at least for now. We'll have to go back and figure out this thing, but for another day.